So yeah, there are quite a few of us, we just finished the film, we really enjoyed it, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, I guess we'll get started. So I was curious, I know you discussed in the film, you have been investigating voter suppression for years. How did this project come about? Like, how did you get started on working on this?
Well, it goes back to, I'm an investigative reporter for BBC television and the Guardian newspaper of London. And my beat was economics. I was an investigative reporter. I'd go after, bad billionaires. And, but then I was investigating George Bush Sr., who secretly owned a gold mining operation in Tanzania. And I was investigating him because 50 miners were buried alive for Bush and his company to take that property. It was horrific. But while I was investigating Bush, I ran into Bush Sr. I ran into an operation called Choice Point, which was working on which had been given a contract by the state of Florida to purge the voter rolls of criminal felons. And they removed about 94,000 people as former felons who couldn't vote. And it turns out I got my hands on the list, and I went through it, and there wasn't a single of 94,000 people, not one single illegal felon voter, not one. But they just all had common names like Jesse Jackson. Now from there, so then that's when I opened up a whole new field of journalism on what's now called vote suppression, racial vote suppression, because they picked out black people. And I wasn't guessing because it said BLA next to their name. So that was the beginning, that's like 25 years ago I began this investigation of vote suppression because that's how George W. Bush won the election through this company. But instead of, I thought when I did my exposés that would end it. And I also wrote for Rolling Stone and I was featured in the New York Times, etc. But it got worse. It got worse. And so I've been doing vote suppression stories now for 25 years, other things, but then Al Jazeera, I got my hands on these documents on this program called Crosscheck, which by the way is coming back, in which you match, last names. If there's a Jose Garcia who voted in Arizona and a Jose Garcia who voted in Alabama, they say, oh, it's the same Jose Garcia. Now there's a lot of Jose Garcias, but that's what they would do. And it didn't matter if the middle names didn't match, the ages didn't match, the race didn't even have to match. So that was, so Al Jazeera gave me the opportunity to investigate that because it started in Georgia. All, as the head of the NAACP says, all the evil voting trickery of Jim Crow is first test driven in Georgia because it's a swing state, but the Republicans have complete and absolute control of the voting process. So they see how it works. And so that's what got me into Georgia, Al Jazeera in 2014. And then this guy, Brian Kemp, who I saw jiggering with the election, he suddenly becomes, he's Secretary of State in charge of the elections, and he mysteriously, by the way, not just shafts Stacey Abrams out of her election, but there's real questions about whether he actually won the Republican primary. He counted the votes, and people were surprised to find out that he declared himself winner. And even the Wall Street Journal said, that's a little unusual, buddy. So that's how I got into Georgia. And the funny thing is that Kemp was just totally up Trump's rectum.
Yeah.
But he would not go to prison for Trump to disqualify 11,000 votes, which would have given him Georgia and was one of the state presidents. So that's how I got into this. And the question is, why can't I get out of this? Right now I'm working on a new project, 6 short films. Here's the latest in vote suppression trickery and how you get out of it. Because at this point in my life, I really, really would like to move on to my other projects, but I just feel kind of a dharmic obligation, since I have this information, to put it out there. So I'm working right now with Black Voters Matter Fund, with the DiCaprio family, and others to get the word out. So we're not done.
Yeah.
Greg, I wanted to ask, we're very fortunate in Washington State, and ballots are how the majority of people vote here.
Mail ballots.
Mail-in ballots, yes.
Yes.
And so what can we do to help? We're not threatened in Washington yet, but what can we do to help what's going on in Georgia and in other places?
That's a good, plenty. I live in Los Angeles. I'm not too worried about mail-in ballots in California,
Right.
except the primaries. And Washington State, Washington and Oregon are the two states where I would say you get something really super close to a very fair and clean election. And they're obviously male-centric, physical male-centric, not gender male-centric. And so, yeah, you're right. So what needs to be done, for example, in Georgia, we got the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, a Latino organization, to make they were based in New Mexico, and they made 150,000 phone calls into Georgia in Spanish and English. So you can basically, we can hook you, anyone who wants to join in the battle, like we're going to be hunting for people, not just in Georgia, but all in the swing states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, which is a swing state, and of course Georgia, where we're going to have lists of people, we're working hard to get the lists of people who've been removed from the voter rolls. Those are the people who need to be contacted, because most of them have no idea that they've lost their registration. To be warned, you have got to re-register. So you leave a message, whatever, and it's not always easy because you tell someone, as I said, you call people up and they say, your registration has been challenged. Say, what does that mean? They say that you're an illegal voter. What does that mean? So, but if you go behind that, you say, look, I'm just trying to warn you, I'm calling for the NAACP. They don't know very well. So if you call for the NAACP or the Rainbow Push, I work very closely with the late Reverend Jackson, and they're all in. So that's the work that has to be done. So if you're interested, the big thing is get lists to send people handwritten notes or make calls or both who have lost their registrations, because almost no group is working on that. They're trying to register new voters, and not a lot of efforts put into saving the current voters.
May I ask a question? Would
Yes.
it be safe in Georgia mail to do it by postcard?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Would it be safe to notify these folks by postcard with the Georgia mail when we get, I'm just wondering.
The answer is both, because while Southwest Voter Registration Project made phone calls, we had Black Voters Matter Fund used our list to send 80,000 purged voters postcards saying, you've got to re-register. The other is that we had a billboard over Atlanta that said, you could be purged, check your registration. That was with Rosario Dawson. And we did a lot of radio, we did a lot of publication, we did a lot of print work, and going on to a lot of, I've been on 150 radio and television shows. So the idea is get the word out, check your registration, check your registration, check your registration. If there's a problem, don't argue about it, re-register. That's the trick. People don't understand. They want to argue with the lady behind the desk. And it's 22 states, and I believe including yours, you can actually register on election day. Same day registration, just have all your ID.
Yes. Thank you.
I spoke to Habitat for Humanity today, and they're
Mhm.
willing to put all our registration information in all of their stores. That's across the country, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So Habitat
Now,
for
is it-
Humanity
yeah,
is more
sorry,
than
go
on
ahead.
board. Huh?
Repeat what you
Go
just
ahead,
said.
I'm sorry, keep going.
I said Habitat for Humanity is more on board. I spoke to them today and got permission to put voter registration, I've got a giant QR code for registration. I've also got information for people that are homeless, you don't need an address to vote. I've also got information for people that are felons, they can vote. All the stuff they need to
Yes.
know. But Habitat for Humanity's across our Habitat for Humanity said yes, they would help us. So if you could talk to all of the Habitat for Humanities all across the country, that would be a really good avenue.
Well, I'd be happy to
I just
create
found
a
out
video
today.
for Habitat people. I gotta tell you can you see me by the way or not?
No.
No, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know what's
Well,
going on.
we saw you in the film.
Oh, wait, I see something here.
Maybe you have to turn
I
the
said
camera.
my name, X out.
Your name is on our
Video.
screen.
I'll never
Okay,
forget
well,
you.
Okay, I'll just, let's see.
I know you idolized Walter Winchell. Doesn't that look, don't you remember? From the fifties, that hat and the
Yeah.
coat?
Yeah.
Come on. 10-4, that's not it, but anyway.
Greg, I was curious, so this movie has been out a couple years, and I'm assuming you showed it in Georgia. What was the reception when you kind of showed it to audiences over there?
I think he's gone.
Uh-oh.
Well, he's,
He's there.
Did you mute yourself?
no,
Oh,
the
no.
screen on the bottom changed a little bit.
Oh, he's got his audio off.
Wait,
There you
There you
go.
go, okay, all right.
Yeah, ask again,
Okay,
Justin.
all right. I'm so sorry about,
It's
trying to
okay.
get it so you can see. It
Ask-
doesn't matter.
Ask again.
Yeah, well, one thing, is, it's not by accident that I wear a fedora like Walter Winchell. Because he wore a fedora and his, protege took over his column, Jack Anderson wore a fedora. And, so Winchell and Fedora were my idols. They were the guys that, made me decide to do investigative reporting. So that's my model. So I wear a hat in their honor. And I've always worn a hat, even when I was investigator before I was ever on air. Okay, other questions?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Greg, in your opinion, do all the extreme measures presented in this film smack of desperation?
No, I think it smacks of arrogance. I mean, obviously, if they thought that they could win just by getting the votes, they wouldn't bother. But it's an exercise in power. We're one of the few, advanced nations, supposedly, that we have a system of removing voters from the voter rolls. I've been all over the world. And outside of Putin and Iran and others, I don't know other countries that have a system for mass removal of voter rolls, except for the fascist state of India. Modi and Trump are actually trading methodologies on how you remove people from the voter rolls. In India, it's all about, they've removed about 20, 30 million Muslims from the voter rolls, so that the BJP, the Hindu Fascist Party, can win. But outside of India, you just don't see a lot of this behavior. I mean, you go to France, you go to Switzerland, you go, to Germany, for whatever their problems are, they don't they don't assume that someone coming in to vote is a criminal. You're not guilty, see in America, you're guilty until proven innocent. You have to prove that you're a voter, a correct voter. There's no other Western nation that does that. No other Western nation.
Given the threat for women to vote and married women and all of that kind of stuff, do you recommend that everybody, just up until the time we vote, just continue to check your registration status? I mean, is that just a-
100%.
That's just a great
Because
message.
under the SAVE Act, which I don't think is going to pass, but that doesn't mean that states aren't going to adopt these plans. Under the SAVE Act, you'll have to prove your citizenship. Now, there's only two ways, really, three ways to prove your citizenship. One is naturalization, but they're not encouraging. They're not doing this to encourage immigrants to vote. The second is your passport, and only 1 out of 3 black people have a passport, and only half of the American population has a passport, which proves citizenship. The third is your original, and let me underline that, original birth certificate. Now, that's bad enough for men, because a copy don't cut it in most states. Driver's license don't cut it. Military ID, you can serve in the U.S. Armed Forces, that does not get you a ballot. And the problem for women will be, if your birth certificate has a different name than your marriage life, the name you registered under, you can't vote until, and there, so far, no one has shown what the procedure is. If you're a married woman, and 69 million women in America have taken their husband's name. 69 million, it's not from another era. 69 million. And how do they prove that they're U.S. citizens?
It also eliminates the trans vote.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, that's the other thing they call it ID match states, where every bit of information on your driver's license has to measure every bit of information on your voter registration.
They're also
So,
they're
but
also-
I think that's a pretty small group. We're talking 69 million women that I'm principally concerned about right now.
They're also threatening to make it very, very difficult to get a passport. If you don't have a passport, get one right away. Act on it right away, because it's going to become very impossible.
Get it now before someone's picture is on the
Yeah.
cover of it.
Mm.
Let alone if you're Native American.
Yeah.
Yes, and in some cases, a tribal card will work. Because if you're a member of a tribe, remember, Indians were given the right to vote beginning in 1924. Black people and women were ahead of American Indians.
Tribal ID
So-
that doesn't work with ICE, though. ICE will not recognize tribal ID.
I think they're supposed to.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
supposed to, but they have not.
The question is, obviously they're supposed to, but that doesn't help you if you're NAB. And the other, because I'm working closely with the Osage Nation right now, doing a film with them, and with, in fact, I'm about to head off to New York to meet with Robert De Niro, who's recording my narration.
Oh, wow.
Leonardo DiCaprio, who's producing my film, on the Osage.
That's
And
great.
the Chief Stanberg, is telling me they're grabbing people. The dark skin. And, yeah, and they don't, so everybody, they're supposed to respect the tribal card. But, again, welcome to Trump America.
Yes,
But not all Native Americans have a tribal card.
that's true.
Well, if they don't, they should get one. This is one of the things I want to talk to people about. You think that voting is I just kind of show up? No, that's not anymore in America. You make it your job to vote. And if you need your tribal card, you get your tribal card. If you need ID, get your ID. Check your registration 2 months before the election, a month before the election, the day before the election, whatever it takes. I do encourage people to vote in person early. That's the safest, because if there's a problem, you have time to fix it, and you don't take the chance on mail. But in Washington and Oregon, you have nothing to worry about with the mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
In places like Georgia, they disqualify thousands and thousands of ballots. In Texas, they disqualify hundreds of thousands of ballots. It arrived in our office a day late. Well, that's the post office. Major
Definitely.
Turner, who was the hero of our film, he lost his vote, and he had to fly to get, they said he didn't live in Georgia, and he had to fly to Georgia to get his vote back, which he did. But that's a hell of a thing for most people.
Yeah.
But then what we found out is that 2 years later, he did get his ballot, but it was never counted, and he didn't know it. We looked it up. You can always look up your ballot.
And was this
His ballot wasn't counted because even though he sent it in 10 days before, they said it came in late. And I know he sent it in 10 days before because I have a photo of him mailing the ballot. They said it took 10 days. So that's why I say, that's why, in a way, you are free in Washington and Oregon, the two pretty much honest, reliable states. You are free to help in those states where help is desperately needed.
Wow. So, Greg, I thank you for making this movie. I have a question about the current election and the exit polls. So I understand that didn't make any sense, that some of it didn't add up correctly. And with Elon Musk taking over the network, do you think that the election might have gotten stolen or rigged from him?
Two things. From Musk, no, I'm not worried about Musk's spiders from outer space because they're only Louisiana is the only state in America that still has electronic voting. No other state has. And so I'm not worried about Musk. But I am worried about the fact that you have what's called the red shift. In other words, you have exit polls that show a Democrat won. And then when they count the votes, a Republican won. And you say, oh, that's because the exit polling is no good. Not true. What the exit polling doesn't take into account is whether your vote counted. So you can walk in, and they gave you a provisional ballot. Remember, there's 3 million provisional ballots in the last election. 3 million. So you walk out, these 3 million people, some of them will be stopped by exit pollsters. How did you vote? I voted, Democrat. I voted Stacey Abrams, whatever. What they don't know is if their vote was counted. And we know that the suppression and the disqualifications of votes, I have an article at gregpalast.com. I really want everyone to sign up for gregpalast.com. It's no charge. You get something from me maybe once every 2 weeks. I don't plug your inbox. So if you go there, you'll find an article. Trump lost, vote suppression won. Here are the numbers. I was actually a professor of statistics. This is my field. So I can tell you right now, what you get in that report are the numbers showing that if not for vote suppression, Trump would have lost. And in fact, as you saw in the film, Ken Paxton, Attorney General of Texas, said if I didn't stop, Rodney Ellis from sending out 2.5 million ballots in Houston, Trump would have lost Texas. Now, so if you can imagine that if vote suppression, by Trump's guy's own analysis, Trump would have lost the election if not for vote suppression. That's Texas. So think about Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. These are states where they...
May I have your attention, please? The meeting rooms and study rooms are now closed, and the library will close in 30 minutes. Restrooms, public computers, book sale, and printers will close in 15 minutes.
Okay.
If you would like to get a library card, purchase items from the book sale, or need help with printing, please come to the front desk now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll let you go because I know you got to clear out.
Yeah, thanks,
If you
Greg.
have another question, I'll finish that.
Gotta be fast. Gotta be fast, yeah.
Greg, as we approach November this year, do you expect, or do you think this topic may get more play in the mainstream media?
Yes and no. Leading up to the election, you're going to see a lot of stories on NPR and the New York Times and Washington Post about vote suppression. Then, after the Republicans keep control of one or both houses, they'll drop the topic. No one will ever say, by the way, remember all the stories we told you about the purges and closing voting booths and, challenging voters? Remember all the stories you wrote? Well, they didn't affect anything. And the problem with Greg Palast is that I won't shut up. Is that my problem is that I say, okay, before the election you said that they illegally purged 150,000 people in Florida. So after the election, why aren't you running a story about how many people lost their votes? That's the problem with today's media. So I'll tell you what, send me any of your questions, I'll respond. If you go to gregpalast.com, and it says contact Greg, and I'd be thrilled to stay in contact, especially if you want to be activists. Okay, I've got to go.
We do too. Thanks, Greg. All right, cool.
Thank you so much.
Wow,
Oh, my.
nice job, yeah, cool.
It's gotta be Greg Palast at something.com.
I have his email, I can,
That's not an email, I mean, it's a website.
I have
It
his,
doesn't matter, I
he
Googled
has
it,
like
it
a
doesn't
contact
matter.
form on his email, and then, he has a contact and it sends to his email, but
Right.
I also do have his email, so if anyone is specific, I could send it out in our next newsletter.
I would love that.
And what's your email?
Thank you.
My email, meaningfulmovies,
Oh.
at gmail.com, it's long.
Okay.
Yeah, whichever you get from the MailChimp, for
I
my
got it,
newsletter,
okay.
that's a
What
good.
newsletter?
You're not signed up for our newsletter?
You mean, movies?
Yes,
Unique
that is
movies.
me.
Yeah.
Are you signed up for it?
Thanks for doing this, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. One last call, if you haven't donated, I would appreciate, just so that way we can continue to do these missions. I am planning one more, or another screening sometime in June. It's Pride Month, so I am thinking it's probably gonna be something along the lines of like LGBTQIA+. So keep your eyes out for that. I'm hoping to have that announced
It's also
sometime soon.
Juneteenth.
17th as well, and then we will also potentially be at Porch Fest in July, so I will send info on all of that, so yeah, just keep your eyes out for the
Thank you for
newsletter.
everything.
And again, please donate if you haven't, and if you can, I appreciate it, thanks guys.
Thank you. All right. Man, at your Dr. Jackson house in Tacoma today, so peace.
You all